If you've been on YouTube for at least a couple years, there's a really good chance you've seen those videos that start with,
"Like and subscribe or else this spider will eat you today. We're going to be counting down the top 10 scariest roller coasters ever."
and then once you get into the video itself, you're bombarded with a list that is so bad, half of the rides on the list aren't even real roller coasters. I even reacted to one of these videos earlier on my channel, so if you want to check it out, that would be greatly appreciated. But in today's video, I am going to do what these clickbaity channels failed to do and provide you all with a list of the top 10 scariest roller coasters that I've ever ridden. Before we get into the list, let me get this straight. None of these rides are dangerous, and I mostly don't find roller coasters to be scary anymore, as I've ridden 86 roller coasters as of now. I'm mostly ranking these rides based on specific aspects of the coasters that could be intimidating to most people. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. Starting the list off at number 10 is Maverick at Cedar Point. Maverick is one of the shortest rides at Cedar Point in terms of height, but that doesn't mean that it's not intense. Its second launch, stangle dives, and brutal ejector airtime makes it intimidating enough to make this list. The GP tend to prefer positive Gs to negative Gs, but this ride has a great mix of both, which can easily strike fear into riders, especially during that insane second launch. Other than that though, there is nothing that puts it above the other roller coasters on this list. Number 9 is the best roller coaster I've been on, but it could also be scary to some people. This is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. What makes it so intimidating, you may be asking? Well, it's the tallest, fastest, and steepest hybrid roller coaster in North America. Hybrid coasters also usually tend to intimidate the general public too, especially hybrid roller coasters built by Rocky Mountain Construction, because these hybrid coasters, including Iron Gwazi, can commonly be misconceptualized as a wooden roller coaster. So to the common theme park guests, seeing Iron Gwazi go through so many different elements that are so unnatural for a wooden roller coaster could really intimidate a typical theme park guest. Number 8 is the first of many to appear on the list. Orion at Kings Island is classified as a giga coaster, which means that the drop on this thing reaches 300 feet. 300 feet may not seem too insane to some people, including roller coaster enthusiasts, but to the typical theme park guest, that statistic is bound to strike fear into the hearts of most riders. Number 7 is a very similar ride to Orion. It's Millennium Force at Cedar Point. The one thing that puts this ride over Orion in terms of intimidation is the ride setting. Orion is located on a mostly flat plot of land that gives great views of residential areas. On the other hand, Millennium Force is located on the edge of a peninsula. If you look to the left while on the ride's lift hill, Lake Erie is creeping up right next to you. And especially at night, it gives a surreal feeling when the water is pitch black and you really don't know when you're gonna drop. But man, that view is so worth it. Hey, no way! Number 6 is yet another giga roller coaster. Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland is the tallest and fastest roller coaster in Canada, and masses of people flock to the ride because of that. Unlike America, Canadians and other travelers can't ride anything bigger than this, unless they're willing to travel to a different country. But this isn't the most intimidating roller coaster in Canada. More on this later. Number 5 is where the coasters really start to get intimidating. This is Skyrush at Hershey Park. Mix a terrifying drop with terrifying G-force levels and restraints that give your entire upper body room. This is a GP's worst nightmare. Speaking from personal experience, the person next to me while riding warned me that she would be screaming a lot. And there wasn't one person on my train that wasn't screaming during that death-defying lift hill. This is one heck of a roller coaster, but that doesn't mean it's not scary to most riders. Number 4 is located in the very same park, Storm Runner. It's just like Maverick at Cedar Point, which I mentioned earlier, but way scarier. Storm Runner's main focus is its launch, as opposed to Maverick though, where it's seemingly just another element on the ride. The launch is even more punchy than Maverick, going from 0 to 72 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds. This is such an intense roller coaster that easily makes it in the top 5. but it isn't quite as intimidating as the roller coasters ahead of it. Number 3 is the first of its kind on this list. Valravn at Cedar Point is a GP magnet. Why, you may be asking? And I can explain it to you in 2 words. Holding brake. This is a dive coaster, which means that its main element is the very first drop, which in this ride's case takes you up 223 feet in the air and holds you over the edge for 5 seconds. Then you plunge down the 90-degree steep drop. No matter what, this ride will always have a long line, and there's no doubt as to why. Number 2 is the world's tallest roller coaster with a lift hill. Fury 325 at Carowinds is, well, like the ride's name, 325 feet tall, and you feel all of that height when you plunge down the near vertical drop. This ride is very intimidating, even more intimidating than the roller coaster in the same park that's called Intimidator. The mix of large and small elements on this easily brings it this far up on the list. Number 1 is obviously Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland. No, it's not the tallest roller coaster in the park, but it's the same ride type as Valravn, a ride that I mentioned earlier. But what gives this ride the edge? Well, for starters, the drop height on this thing is 40 feet taller than Valravn, 245 feet tall. Plus, the first drop is over a literal pond and you go underneath it. So all that you're facing is water for 5 straight seconds. So this definitely had to be number 1. Would enthusiasts like me be scared of it? No, probably not. But for the GP, they would want those vest restraints tight. Okay, so that was the objective top 10 most intimidating roller coasters that I've ridden. Obviously, all of these rides are as safe as can be, but the specific factors of the coasters that were designed to be scary make it intimidating. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.